Hello again, back in the shed working on the Cerbera once again. Been a little while since the last video. I haven't actually done much work on it since then. I've been away at work and went down south for a few days. So where am I at now? Well, it's not running. I decided what I really need to do was just confirm the firing order, confirm top dead center on each cylinder, and just double check, sort of do my homework. And yeah, so what I did is I 3D printed like a wheel like that. This one's actually wrong, it's got the wrong cylinders grouped together. I just pulled that out of the bin because it's easier to show you than the one that's on there, but I'll show you that anyway. So yeah, basically I wanted to do that, just check the firing order, and yes, the one that's on the sort of floating around on the internet is right. That's the 14527638. And I went through and I did the diagrams of that's cylinder 1 firing, cylinder 4 firing 105 degrees later, cylinder 5 firing 75 degrees after that, and so on and so on. So now that I've got that wheel on the front, I can't quite wrap my head around how the home signal works, how it knows. It's like it knows top dead center, but how does it know it's top dead center on the compression stroke when you look on the config page and it doesn't really, it's like, how does it know? So what I did do is I've got this 303 degrees offset that I've put in there, because that would give me, when you set the timing at 0 degrees, turn it over, that would give me a spark at top dead center of number 1. But I'm wondering, well, do I just need to add 360 degrees to that number so that I get, am I firing on the exhaust stroke here rather than the compression? But anyway, I'm going to put the cam covers back on and yeah, continue on. Put the plugs back in. Once I've found my sealant somewhere in here, for the cam covers I use this, is this it? No, that's not it. Somewhere in there I've got that that sort of non-hardening sealant, which is yeah, that's the stuff that I use anyway. All right, well, I'll do that and then we'll get back into it. Oh yeah, one other thing. I did my top dead center mark on the crank, on the pulley. I did confirm that with this. That's basically just the spark plug with a hollowed out with a bolt through the center. Just put that into number 1 cylinder. Gently turn it over till it touches, mark the point on the pulley, go back the other way until it touches. The spot in between those two is top dead center, and the mark that I have in the crank is on the pulley, sorry, is spot on. So yes, I've confirmed top dead center, confirmed the firing order. Yeah, onwards and upwards. Righto, so I just got off the phone with Haltech, and yeah, he kind of found the problem. On here, that's my home sensor, and what that does is it's basically a sensor that picks up the 4 bolts you got at the front of the camshaft. I put in a longer one and machined up a little spacer and set the sensor up so that it'll read that bolt head. You think, okay, can't get that wrong, right? Well, it uses Allen key bolts. So what the sensor is doing, and I never would have found this without calling them, is it's actually reading 2 signals on the per RPM of the camshaft. So it's yeah, and that's not going to work. So what I've got to do now is take my cam cover off again. It actually does run not really well. Actually, I'll show you. So basically you got this home sensor here. So if I put that, so basically it's got to hit 5,000 RPM until it goes into sequential. So that basically disables sequential by putting it 5,000 RPM, unless you're over 5,000 RPM. But here we go. Yeah, as you can see, needs a bit of a tune. He was quite concerned with this coolant temperature sensor and the intake air temperature. Those sensors are dead, so obviously it's putting some wild compensations in there because it thinks it's at 140 degrees with a 120 degree intake temperature. So plan now is I've already got a new coolant temperature sensor, and I think I've got a air temperature sensor around here somewhere. So I'm going to take the cam cover off, pull that bolt out, and replace my Allen key bolt with just a like a flat, you know, your standard hex head type of deal. And yeah, the things we do, eh? All right, back in a minute. Righto, here we are back again. Basically the weekend's gone by. I couldn't get the bolts that I needed until Monday because all the suppliers were shut, but that's basically what I need. I've got a few spares, but I'm probably going to have to shorten this one. This length was all they had. Just while I'm here, some of you may have noticed in the scene just previously, it was sputtering a bit at idle. Well, there's a reason for that. I basically, in the course of my sort of fault finding or whatever, I set the timing map to basically have 0 degrees of advance below sort of 500 RPM, and then at 1,000 RPM it goes to sort of 15. So if you're in between 500 and 1,000, it'll sort of average the two things out. And yeah, it probably needs a bit more advanced timing at idle, but that's all right. That's going to be sorted. So I've got my bolts. So now, basically, what I have to do is basically just sit the bolt in there. I know I can only screw in so far. I'll have to put my special rag there to stop it so don't drop the bolt in there. But yeah, basically I'll just take this bolt. I'll do it now actually. Yeah. So basically I'm going to size that up. As you can see, it's probably way too long. Alright. Yeah, but I'll get a spanner on that, find out where the bottom of it is, work out how much I've got to cut off it, and then I'll shorten the bolt, make up a spacer, because I think, well, the spacer I've got is going to be too short, so I'll have to make up, it's a titanium spacer by the way, I'll have to yeah, make something a bit longer, because the old stack of washers isn't going to cut it for this job, I don't think. Yeah, and then this spacer plate here on my sensor, I was entertaining the idea of machining one with my fancy new CNC mill, new second-hand CNC mill, but I thought, hang on, I'll just 3D print one. I haven't got time for that. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Put it back together. I've had a bit of a win with some of these temperature sensors. Some of you, I don't know if any of you noticed, but I had intake air temperature sensors that were reading 120 degrees, and my coolant temperature was reading 120 degrees, and that was just a calibration thing in the software. I had the pull up disabled, and that was meant to be enabled, whatever that is. So yeah, slowly making progress. So hopefully today I'll have a running, idling Cerbera. See how I go. Righto, well I think they fixed it. Get my sensor in. I 3D printed my my little adapter for the sensor. The only issue I got now, well, it's running. I think it's running a bit rich. Oh yeah. Yeah, so for whatever reason my hang on, I'll shut it off. That's better. Yeah, for whatever reason, only one of my two widebands is working, and it's reading in lambda, which if you want to look, only this one's working. It's reading like 0.7 lambda, which I think is pretty sure is very rich, and the other one's not working. So I'll probably get back onto Haltech, see what's going on there. It's plugged in, and I see there, well, it's just come, yeah. But yeah, obviously it's running pig rich at the moment, although it did have some cold temperature enrichment kicking in, so it's cleaned up a bit since then. And I actually just sort of went in and just cut like 5% of volumetric efficiency out. So right now I think I'm going to call Haltech, and because they're actually really good last time. It's all plugged in. I'm sure I've done something wrong, but I'm going to give them a call, see if I can get this other wideband working, see if I can change the units so it's actually an air-fuel ratio, which is something I don't usually deal with lambda. But anyway, I'll do that now and see what we can see. Righto, I don't know if you can hear me, but I think I've had a win. She's, yeah, this is kind of where I want it to be. She's idling perfectly. But 13.3 on both. I've even got a bit of ignition idle control going. Yeah, not bad. I better shut that off, just, well, partly because my laptop's about to run out of battery, but yeah, pretty stoked with that. It's been quite a journey, still with more to come, but yeah, I had the Haltech man got online and basically worked out, yeah, I had everything set up wrong for the wideband. I had wrong things selected and blah blah blah, but so yeah, she's running, idling, everything seems to work. The only thing I'm a bit sketchy about is it started to just started boiling over, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? Why is it doing that? And then I saw the I kind of knew this might be an issue in the first place, but my coolant temperature sensor is there, which is on that crossover pipe. That sort of bypasses the radiator, and I wasn't sort of super sure about it in the first place, but there's not a lot of places that's easy access, and it was only showing 77 degrees, and it was actually starting to, I don't know, maybe this cap's no good. Maybe my fancy cap is no good, because it didn't seem that hot, but basically it was reading 77 degrees, so I just set the startup temperature for the cooling fan to 75 degrees, and it cuts off at 73 or whatever. And the fans came on, and yeah, it was no problem. It was pig rich to start with. On the Haltech, you got a thing where you got your, they call them long-term fuel trims, and they were, it was just taking like 20% of volumetric efficiency out, which is something's going on over there. Yeah, that it was taking out a huge chunk of fuel, and I had to do that like 2 or 3 times. So the volumetric efficiency when it's idling, according to the way it's all set up, is like 38%, which I'm sure there's something wrong there. I'm getting injectors that are delivering more fuel than I don't know. There's something, but anyway, it's running mint. It starts. I even so I've sort of done some of this stuff before. Once it got hot, it didn't want to turn over, so I just set the cranking ignition advance. I actually set it to a -2 at anything over sort of 60 degrees, and it just seemed to love that. So now it just starts. Yeah, so pretty happy with how it's going. I even worked out how to, go into the preferences and change the units for everything. So that's one thing I have to do, because my fuel pressure's in kPa. I'll have to change that to PSI, then I can adjust the, that's one thing I didn't look at, was my fuel pressure. It should be the same. I haven't touched the regulator, but yeah, I'll see how it goes. Yeah, so pretty happy with that. Finally actually getting somewhere. Now I've just got to take most of the loom out, wrap it all up in the fancy plastic, tidy everything up, run it the way it's meant to be run. I've got this awful mess, and I'm dreading that job, trying to get all that back in there. It's about 3 times the size all up of the original ECU, with the wideband controller and everything. And plus I've still got my dead windscreen wiper controller here that I'll have to email old mate again and see if I can get a new one and get it replaced, or whether he wants me to send him that one, however he wants to do it. But yeah, so that's good to finally be making progress. Oh, another thing I've got to do is where that's where the loom goes through. I don't know if you can see it there. That's basically looking down into the footwell, so I get the great job of trying to seal that up. So basically I've got this thing here. That was the original. So basically I've got to draw that up. I'll sort of draw it in 2 parts, I think, 3D printed out of TPU, but just put all the holes there for all the different cables, and yeah, so finally getting somewhere. Maybe next video I'll actually be driving this thing. Alright, thanks for watching. See you then.